Guilty as charged. Guilty as charged.
Guilty as charged.
Guilty as charged. That's my guy.
Hey, what is up, everybody? Welcome to the Guilty as Charged podcast. My name is Steven, and I am the host, as always, here for our first live recap of the 2025 season. A Chargers football game in July. It was a fake game. It was a real game for some people, but it was a lot of fun, actually, to watch that preseason game. I'm not going to lie. Joining me, as always, is my good friend, Tyler. Tyler, what's up, man? How you doing tonight?
What is up, Chargers fans? We are back to NFL football and Chargers football in particular. Yes, as Steven said, it's a quote-unquote fake game, but you know what? I had real fun. And despite the broadcast's best attempt to not show me the game, I had a lot of fun watching that game. So I'm excited to break it down with you here, to react to it, all the good stuff. Chargers win 34-7. Not a whole lot of negatives, so should be a fun show.
Yeah, I don't think we as Chargers fans know what to do watching a quarterback in the preseason have over 100 passer rating. It was a different experience for me. And we were kind of messaging back and forth. There was like one Cardell Jones game and like one Easton Stick game, but a pretty flawless first half ish and change for Trey Lance. So we'll have a lot of takeaways. But it was nice to see them go out and have a fun preseason game, because like the worst thing that. Not that we're like super excited for that first preseason game, but
sure,
last year's first preseason game was like 10-7 or like something. Just like it was just like a horrible watch all around. So this was fun. We had some cool moments. Definitely some players who elevated their stock, which we'll get into all of that. Hopefully your guys' prize pick selections went a little bit better than mine. I included a Lions player who is apparently injured, so as is the NFL preseason. But it was fun again to kind of get back into the swing of things with prize picks. Hopefully you guys had some fun with that as well. Best way to support our show is to go download the Prize Picks app, use the code GUILTY at checkout for a $50 deposit match on your first lineup up to $5. It is sincerely like so much fun throughout the season. You can use all of your choices on the Chargers. You can still do baseball. You can still do basketball, whenever floats your boat. Prize Picks has you covered. The best and easiest way to consume daily fantasy sports. All right, Tyler, let's get into this. I'm going to let you take the floor here. Obviously, coming off the 34-7 lead, we talked a lot about what we wanted to see in the preview yesterday. You put Keandre Lambert-Smith in the thumbnail and in the title. Sure. So is he your big takeaway, or is there somebody else who kind of stood out more to you?
There are a few players for sure, but I will say Keandre Lambert-Smith, because he was the player heading into training camp I said needed to have a breakout training camp, who really needed to have a good one, because, day 3 selection, these guys, if they're not practicing, can fall behind. And in the spring, he was not practicing. And, they want to make Jalen Reagor work. And at the beginning of training camp and in the offseason, he was awesome. Quentin Johnston, Trey Harris, like everyone was working and kind of getting ahead. What's going to happen with Keandre Lambert-Smith? And he has, along the way, had a very, very good training camp. But I needed to see something maybe even a little bit different tonight. And the first vertical pass was great. And that reception was great. And that's in the thumbnail. That was wonderful. I'm like, okay, at minimum, it's good to see he can do it against a corner who doesn't want him to catch the football and is allowed to hit him and tackle him and even draw a penalty if that happens.
Yeah.
But it was really that slant in particular. And I know it's just one rep and it's the preseason, I get it. But that one slant and that touchdown and the fact that that DB looked like he had concrete for feet on that play and practically fell over. And then the acceleration post-catch by Keandre Lambert-Smith for the touchdown. That's when I went, okay, like now it feels more for real.
Yeah.
And despite all the good stuff that we've been seeing from him in training camp, even with all of that, that was the play that made me go, okay, this guy needs to see the field a lot more. And I'm not saying here right now after one game, excuse me, that he should start over Quentin Johnston. He's got a ways to go. I'm just so choked up about this game. He was great. You talk.
You're just emotional about the Keandre Lambert Smith breakout season. It's okay. No, like you, I think I am definitely more in on him after today than I was heading into today. And like I tweeted out early this morning, like a list of the rookies who, were drafted on day 3 in the last 5 years who got over 400 yards in their rookie seasons. And there were 9 names on that list. And obviously there were a couple big outliers there, Puka Nacua, Amon-Ra St. Brown, guys who immediately were like some of the best receivers in the league. But for the most part, day 3 wide receivers have a tough time coming into the league and like really making an impact. And I liked Keandre a little bit more than you did. There were some fans of his out there, but for the most part, like this was a guy who was a consensus, like, round 5, 6, 7 draft pick. Matt Harmon liked him a decent amount. There were definitely some skill sets that you could like heading into the season, but I wasn't sure like what we would expect. Then he doesn't really practice at all in the spring. And it's like, okay, is this going to be another situation where he's just kind of behind the 8 ball, like from the jump? And then like first day of training camp, he has a jump ball touchdown from Justin Herbert. And you're like, okay, like things are starting to build. And it's just been like stacking and stacking and stacking these positive performances. And I think his performance tonight and throughout training camp thus far is a big reason why the Chargers haven't gone out and signed a veteran a wide receiver. And at this point, I think they're set. Like I don't want to put too much into preseason in one game. But just kind of looking at like the room overall, like I think you feel really good about how Ladd, Quentin, Trey, and Keandre and how their skill sets all kind of mesh together. All 4 of those guys can play multiple spots. Keandre Lambert Smith and Trey Harris kind of have you covered from a jump ball perspective. Quentin and Ladd from the yak perspective. Trey can do that as well. So it's just kind of coming together nicer than I think people would think from the outside. Like Terry McLaurin requested a trade today, and the Chargers were one of the main teams that people were talking about. And not to say that I'm not going to push for a Terry McLaurin trade because of one preseason game, but the Chargers, I think, are going to look at this, for this group of 4 receivers, 4 very young receivers, and feel very good about the direction that they are heading in.
Yeah, if they weren't going to make a strong enough push because they didn't land these players for Devontae Adams or DK Metcalf in free agency or via trade, and that's before they knew kind of what they had in these players because they weren't on their roster, I don't think that they would now make a play for McLaurin, having seen what these rookies can do and what these younger players, first year, second year players can do for their offense. Yeah. Like you said, it's not that, Keandre Lambert Smith is going to be enshrined the next time the Chargers are playing the Hall of Fame game. We're not saying that by any means, but like, what else could you want from these players right now? In particular, we were looking for and hoping for a true X. Like, okay, Mike Williams, he retires. Who's your true X? And they don't have that exact skill set of Mike Williams, but can these guys push the ball down the field? And at minimum, like I think Keandre Lambert Smith can do some of that Mike Williams stuff in terms of verticality, maybe not jump ball, but verticality this year. And Trey Harris, I believe so, will as well. So just an excellent debut for him. I wish they showed more replays during this game so we could, see what happened. Yeah. I wish I saw what happened on the first hands to the face penalty that the defender had on his other slant, because I couldn't tell if like maybe he didn't win or if it truly was a penalty and he just couldn't have won because it was a penalty. But I like that he came back later and on the left side won a slant where he maybe didn't win that earlier in the game. So great game for him. I don't want to say sky is the limit, but he is officially in. You must play this player on game day. Whereas I think heading into training camp, especially because of Jalen Reagor was doing, he was probably a healthy scratch to start the year. Now he has to be on the field.
Yeah, and I definitely agree with that. You and I penciled him in for the roster just because they drafted him and they just didn't have the volume of receivers, but that was with Mike Williams on the roster as well, and so things have obviously changed a lot. And if you're Joe Ortiz and Greg Roman and the rest of this group, you have to feel great about what you see. Matthew Berry for NBC, who does fantasy football stuff, said he was talking to a Chargers safety. He did not name who it was, but he asked him about Trey Harris specifically. And the Chargers safety was like, yeah, Trey looks great. He's got all the tools, but also Keandre Lambert Smith is that dude as well. So the Chargers are very, very high on Keandre Lambert Smith internally. He's practiced very, very well. And you and I, we've been, at training camp practices before. We've seen a guy have those flashes in training camp and then it not really pan out towards the preseason games or to the regular season. So it's just a good sign, obviously, that Keandre is able to put things together. Him and Trey Lance have a great rapport. Like there's just a really nice chemistry there. How much is that going to bleed into his chemistry with Justin Herbert? I don't know. He still is kind of working more with the second team offense in practice. But this performance, I think, should definitely, start getting him more first team offense reps in practice. And then him and Justin Herbert can kind of stack that as well. But Trey Lance and Keandre Lambert-Smith are going to make the preseason way more fun to watch if they can continue to do this. I don't know how much more they're going to play, but it was a fun watch, and they have shown a lot of nice moments in camp, and now they put it out on preseason tape as well.
Yes, Trey Lance's quarterback rating was, I think, at the end of the day, 2.5 times what Easton Stick's was last year. By my math, that is pretty good. You could combine Luis Perez and Easton Stick's passer rating from last year, and Trey Lance would still have a higher number. Yes, it's one preseason game, but he did what he needed to do. Regarding what you said about Herbert and Keandre Lambert-Smith, I do hope they get more chemistry, because it's been very like Herbert and Harris building that chemistry. And in the highlights, you're seeing it's usually Trey Lance and Keandre Lambert-Smith building that chemistry, which, great for Harris, great for Herbert. But I want to see Keandre Lambert-Smith. I mean, that'd be kind of fun. Like, I know Trey Lance has been doing everything, and Lambert-Smith has been catching everything down the field, but I don't know. I kind of want to see that one from Justin Herbert, because he's pretty good. So that was very, very good to see that connection continue, as you have up here now. Like Trey Lance makes his QB2 case. I don't know what else you could have really asked for Trey Lance in this game. Initially, it was some stuff to the flats, to the tight ends. They got him moving, but it wasn't like anything that I thought that was like really great early on. And even the vertical pass to Keandre Lambert-Smith was maybe kind of expected, but things just started to open up a bit more for him. And as you saw, as he progressed it and kind of was running through this offense, he just got more comfortable. That laser to Tucker Fisk, and great catch, by the way, that was wonderful. I think just he looked a lot better than honestly I thought he would have. And going into the game, I think a couple of days ago yesterday when we talked about Lance, I really didn't think he had that QB2 job locked down, and maybe he doesn't yet. Obviously, we haven't seen Heineke, so Heineke can't elevate or lower his stock in the preseason. We're not going to see him, I don't think. But Lance has shown everything in one game that you could possibly want. A few fades in the end, like for whatever reason, fades to the left. We're not working tonight. 0 for 3 on those. But otherwise, he really did have a good feel for everything. Yeah. For the most part, I believe he protected the football very, very well. I don't recall anything close to a turnover-worthy play. Maybe one sack he'd like to have back. But otherwise, I thought he did a very, very good job taking care of the football. There was even a play where I thought when he scrambled, like he could have maybe like ran forward, tried to score, like maybe risk an injury or throw an interception. And he opted for like the 3-yard rush out of bounds. And I just thought that was like different. Of course, I was a fan. I'm like, yeah, run for it. Helicopter, jump into the end zone, whatever, pull it that way. But but as a quarterback who's trying to develop and become, the guy that can maybe take Heineke's spot as a guy who can take the offense down the field, protect the football, that was a very nice development to see.
Yeah, so he told the broadcast that like one of his main focuses this year in the offseason and throughout the summer were like the touch passes. And obviously the Will Dissly touchdown was a beautiful touch pass. And then his deep pass to Keandre was some really nice touch as well. So that's been a point of emphasis for him. But I was just curious, like we talked about on the show yesterday, like what would it look like if the Lions were going to bring pressure? What would it look like if he had to kind of create a little bit? Because when you haven't played a lot, like you kind of get helter-skelter a little bit. And I was like tweeting about him playing well after he had that one scramble where he threw the ball out of bounds. And somebody was like, well, he looked kind of rushed there. Like, what are you talking about? And it's like, well, this is a guy who hasn't played hardly any football. And so to see him in that moment, goes through his progressions, 1, 2, 3, he kind of steps up and then he resets and looks for another read. And then he escapes. And as he's escaping, he had the chance to just take off and run. Like he definitely could have done that. But he dragged the play out even more. He was looking for a scramble drill situation, and then nothing came, and so he threw the ball away. that to me shows that Trey Lance is really progressing with his comfortability within the pocket, with his comfortability under pressure, and just feels like he doesn't have to force feed the ball to any one player. He doesn't have to just run and trust his legs. I think that play in particular showed the most growth of anything we saw from Trey Lance tonight. He threw a check down a couple of times to Kamani. This is a guy who I think has really taken some strong steps from what we saw him against the Chargers defense at this time last year. And even just throughout training camp, I think he looks really, really calm and collected. He's practiced that way. He played that way today. Like you said, I don't know if Trey Lance could have done anything else. Like he only ran for 8 yards, I guess. So that could potentially be something that we see maybe going forward. There were like a couple of zone reads and things like that. I would like to see that just, to see what it looks like. But, for his first start with the Chargers, everything was just so calm. Like everything, like I didn't feel like he was ever rushed. I didn't feel like he was ever not under control. So it was a great performance from him. And I'm very pleased. I was very pleased with how he played today. The throws he was making were spot on. So, hat tip to Trey Lance, man. I think he really played well tonight.
Yeah, I didn't expect him to have a bad game, but I think there's a world where he has a game that like Hendon Hooker had today in the second half there, which was not very good pocket presence, not great decisions, and only 18 passing yards in, I think, at least like the 3/4 of the second half, I suppose. It just was not a great showing from him. Not that I can blame everything on him, but Trey Lance was able to avoid that kind of game and show a real maturity. So very, very impressed with him so far. If you can keep this up, like I understand, the risk of having him as QB2 and naming him the backup to Justin Herbert should anything happen in game, because he still does have a lot of football to learn. But he's shown tremendous strides, as you pointed out, with all the plays that you mentioned. Towards the physical tools were there, like that's been there from day one. We all knew that part, but the progression into what seems to be a more mature passer has been really, really nice to see.
Yeah, as Kevin points out, that inside veer read was nice to see. Kamani gets the edge there. I was just, so curious to see what that looks like. Again, like we've seen a quarterback look good in training camp, and then you get into a live situation, and a lot of these backup quarterbacks, look like what Kyle Allen looked like tonight, where you throw 2 interceptions, and then Hendon Hooker has a bad game as well. So just very happy with what he's done overall. I am curious if we do see Taylor Heinicke play at all in the preseason. I feel like the Chargers have said like they're very comfortable with where he's at. But if this is a real competition, then we probably should see Taylor Heinicke play in the preseason. And we didn't get to see him do that last year. Obviously, he was with the Falcons. So I am curious if we get to the point where, is this Trey's job? Is it Taylor's job to lose? Like he already has it locked up. Like I just would love to know really like where we're at. To me, I feel like Trey Lance has made a very strong case to be quarterback 2.
Yeah.
They obviously have 3 more preseason games. We'll see what happens. But I think Trey Lance is trending very, very positively right now.
Yeah. Jim Harbaugh was very quick last year to make some changes at quarterback and how that battle was going. And I think that as much as we love, as much as we've discussed DJU as his arm strength or whatever, I don't think it's really even to this best like interest of the other receivers or tight ends on this roster to have him play a quarter or even 2. Like I thought he would play more this game. He didn't, but I think he's going to start playing more, maybe more of like a half moving forward potentially. And I'd rather just make this a Heinicke Lance evaluation of them as quarterbacks in the same game, maybe flipping, one person's first half one game, first half the second game, whatever, flip flop. But also just get a bit more out of these receivers, because there's a couple of throws from QB2 tonight that weren't so hot.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, next standout. Obviously, it has to be Mr. Nikko Reed. And I think the juxtaposition of the rest of the cornerback room definitely has to be talked about. But Nikko Reed has been somebody who has played very well in training camp practices so far. And you and I talked about it yesterday, kind of the injuries that have been popping up in that room. And Nikko Reed has taken every single advantage. And I think in particular, he's playing a lot of outside cornerback, and he is playing the ball very well. He is kind of similar like body type and instincts to like what they have in Tarib still. I think Tarib is a bit of a better athlete. But Nikko Reed comes out in today's game. He gets an interception, a pass breakup, 2 special teams tackles, 0 yards allowed the same night where Jasir Taylor allows 44 yards and Dean Leonard allows 22 yards. Those 2 guys both struggled to really kind of stay with the Lions receivers that were in that game, especially Tisla, the rookie out of Arkansas. So Nikko Reed continues to just ball out and play extremely well. And Alex Insdorf just tweeted out that Jim Harbaugh said he's been playing through an injury all preseason long, or all training camp long, I should say. And we know how Harbaugh feels about these guys who play through injuries and play well through injuries. So this is definitely stock up for Nikko Reed. It's been trending that way. Eric Smith has written a couple articles about him. So this was a great touch for him to kind of continue to work in with the first team defense, second team defense, continue to make plays. I think we're trending towards a point where Nikko Reed is almost a lock towards making this roster. Like, we have to see more. Obviously, like I said, we still have 3 more games. But it's going to be very difficult to keep Reed off of this roster if he is continuing to make plays like this.
He was, and I think has been, like the defensive back standout for the Chargers. I really thought this was a locked up, like, done, don't worry about corner as much. Or if it is a corner, it's Bridges or Leonard. Reed has just shown up and done everything he could possibly do as a UDFA. And thank goodness. Like, I am genuinely excited that a UDFA is probably going to make the roster now, and is, I mean, if he's actually fighting through injury, that's really admirable, because not that I think like some of the veterans would have played tonight, because they weren't, but those veterans did not play and probably wouldn't have played because of an injury. Yet this guy out here just trying to get a job and trying to earn the right to be on the 53 this year. How much will he play this year? I don't know. Maybe not a ton, but I just love what he was able to do. The way he was in great position on the Jefferson interception, which, again, like Tony Jefferson, like preseason Jefferson is the greatest football player we've ever seen in our lives for whatever reason. But it's just been awesome to see his development. I think he was a name that I didn't end up watching him. I thought the corner group was just kind of wrapped up.
Yeah,
I didn't watch
Same.
the corners. I watched plenty of other players who aren't playing all that much right now. But by golly, Reed's been awesome. So is he a roster lock at this point? I don't know. All I know is everybody else is a bit stocked down. I do think like Jaw Taylor's going to still make the roster, but in terms of play, Nikko Reed has been playing better. And if you look at his coverage breakdown in terms of the reps, he's also a guy who played, not that he played a ton of snaps, but by far the most press coverage snaps of any corner the Chargers had in this game. So everybody played between like 11 and 16 coverage reps. And, Jaw Taylor has 2 press reps. Let's see, where's the other one? Where's Dean Leonard? Dean Leonard had 2 press reps. Nikko Reed had 5. They trust him to do that, play like that. As you said, and we've been talking about, Minter probably wants to play more like that anyway. He has the instincts that Tarheeb still has. So I wish I could say I watched him and this was a miss for me. I just flat out didn't even watch him, and this is a miss for me, because I just thought, we're good. So good for him for all that he's been doing. I hope this continues, and I hope that injury clears up.
Yeah, that would be great for him to obviously get healthy. But, like you, I feel like heading into the training camp, the cornerback room was pretty close to a locked up. But Benjamin St-Juste has been injured. He has not practiced in like 10 days. That's been certainly an issue. I feel like they signed him for a very particular reason. Tarheeb Still has been injured. Dante Jackson has been injured. Cam Hart has been injured. And so credit to Nikko Reed for coming in here and saying, man, like I just need to do everything I can to make this roster. And it seems like he's doing that. The special teams tackles are definitely important, because if he is going to take a spot from Dean Leonard or Benjamin St-Juste, guys who are like very prototypical gunners, he's got to show that he can play on special teams. And you mentioned Jasir Taylor, same kind of thing. He's got to show that he can play on special teams. Jasir Taylor is one of the better gunners in the league, so I don't know if he can reach that kind of level. But if he can make these tackles consistently on special teams, it shows a lot. And I think it also shows a lot that Jasir Taylor was in the game for longer than Nikko Reed was. Reed was not on the field at all in the second half, and Jasir Taylor was still in the game in the second half. So I don't know, man. Like, again, I don't want to overreact, but this has been kind of building. Like, he's been one of the better players in camp. He was one of the best players tonight. If this continues, like, he's going to be working his way onto the roster this season.
Yeah, I think so. Dean Leonard was a game captain today. It's the preseason. I get it.
Yeah.
Season captains, but like, I think that sort of like gives it a bit of a hint.
Sure.
Maybe how the team might feel about him. That like he's a core special teamer. I'm sure like he's Ficken's guy, that kind of thing. So I think he's fine. But for everybody else, and St. Jude in particular, Nikko Reed's coming for a spot. I think if he has, like, it's I think it's his job to lose at this point. Like, maybe it's not a roster lock, but it feels like it's his job to lose. And if he can play special teams like he has as well, I mean, it's kind of game over. I really think he's going to make the roster, which is awesome.
Yeah, Kevin Koenig points out this team eats, sleeps, breathes depth. This is a great problem to have for the Chargers because they, like Jimmy asking, are they going to keep 7 corners? I don't know, man. But the fact that they were even considering that is a great problem to have.
Yeah,
obviously that's going to, result in some other player potentially being cut. But I'm really curious to see what Benjamin St. Juice comes back and looks like if he is able to come back relatively soon, because I know they were pretty high on him, but now they have Nikko Reed. Jesse Minter did say that Jasir Taylor is like one of their most improved players from last season to now. That unfortunately didn't really pan out tonight. But we'll see, man. Like, I think this cornerback room feels like this maybe, again, they don't really have like a star player, but they have like 6-7 guys that I feel pretty comfortable could make this roster and make an impact.
Yeah, I mean, so Still didn't play, Hart didn't play, St. Juice didn't play, Jackson didn't play, Bridges did not play, if I'm not mistaken either. At least he doesn't have a snap that I can see.
I thought he was out there.
I'm looking at
maybe he just didn't get targeted.
At least didn't have a coverage snap, as far as I'm aware. I'm looking at coverage snaps, and unless he had like one, he's not on this list of early stats that we have. So maybe he was out there, but he was not out there enough, unless I'm missing something.
So I see him listed as a safety. Maybe that's why.
Oh, huh. Does he have snaps?
Yes, 29, according to the one that
was a safety. Interesting.
Anyway. I don't think he played safety. I think that's a typo.
Gotcha. Okay, that's why he's not filtered with the corners. That makes sense.
But I don't remember him getting targeted. To your point,
no.
I do remember him like having like a couple run defense situations. I do not remember him looking, targeted that much.
Yeah. So anyway, good for Reed. Right now, he's got a tentative grade of 95.3 in coverage. I don't remember the last time
that's pretty good.
That good. So great start.
Yeah, 0 yards allowed, 1 interception, 1 pass breakup. Yeah, that's a pretty elite grade for sure. Okay, I think the next one we'll get to here in a second, but first our audio audience is going to take a quick break, and then our visual audience is going to continue right along. Okay, so the Chargers running back room, a lot of rotation going on, more so than I thought would be the case heading into it. I kind of pictured Hampton would get, a couple drives, and then Kamani would play like the first half-ish, and then Patterson and Miller Hines. I got to remember to say Miller Hines from now on. Haskins would kind of play in the second half. But all 4 of those other guys all rotated the whole game, essentially. So just final stat lines before we kind of get into thoughts here. Kamani Vidal, 9 carries, 37 yards, 4.1 per, with 2 touchdowns. Hassan Haskins, 6 carries, 34 yards, 5.7 per. Naeem Miller-Hines, 8 carries, 34 yards, 4.3 per. Jarrett Patterson only had 3 carries, but he was kind of more of like the pass catching back. He had 2 receptions, 18 yards receiving. So what did you make of the post Omarion Hampton running back rotation from tonight's performance?
I thought it was really strong. I was genuinely impressed. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know who was going to play when. You could make the case before tonight that, 3 different players are vying for RB4 and could be RB4. Maybe it's dependent on skill set. And then they signed Hines Miller, and what can he do? Can he return? And he had a good return tonight as well.
He sure did.
Everybody played well in their respective roles. There wasn't one like true standout. There was no, Joshua Kelly 75-yard run in there. It was just, again, Vidal 4.1, Haskins 5.7, Miller Hines 4.3. But these guys all did their jobs played really, really physical. I think Haskins in particular was very physical.
Yeah, he ran like 3 guys over.
Yeah,
Second half was great.
Yeah, he was like, oh, I'm playing in the fourth quarter. Got it. I'm going to run people over to make sure that I have the best shot to make this roster. But the group played really, really well. So I don't really know who separated themselves, although Miller Hines being a guy who can return kicks and return punts if needed, I think that does help him quite a bit. Obviously, he's a veteran, but Vidal, hey, okay, we're near the goal line. Go Vidal. And the way he can get around the edge of the offensive line, get to that corner, get to that pylon. A couple of runs last year, runs this year. Really, really kind of special in that regard. Haskins is a veteran, is a good pass catcher in his own right. So just a very, very, very good overall performance from these running backs. I know like Hampton was the story. He had an 8-yard run and everyone hit send on their scheduled tweets, their drafts, that they were just ready to hype up Hampton. And then he gets dropped for a loss on the next play. But after that, I really think the running back room was very, very solid in their debut.
Yeah, I would have liked to see Hampton be a little bit more aggressive, but it was his first game,
Sure.
jitters, all that stuff, whatever. I feel really good about this running back competition, and like I think Vidal has played very well in his moments. I would have liked to see him maybe get a couple more like pass protection reps because he's really developed in that aspect of his game. But I think he showed his ability to hit the edge very well tonight. Patterson showed his ability to be a pass catcher and pass protector. Haskins is a bully ball. Hines is pretty elusive in there. So it's the Najee Harris situation sucks. Like I would love to be able to see him at practice and things like that. But it's giving these other guys a lot of reps, and we haven't even seen Rocket Sanders yet, who was inactive in tonight's performance. So there's yet another potential wrinkle in there. So this is going to be a very interesting one going forward. I think, it's not been talked about a lot with this group because everybody's just like, oh, Hampton and Najee, like they're set. But they carried 4 running backs last year, as Kevin pointed out early in the chat. Like Jared Patterson actually made the initial 53-man roster, which I kind of forgot about. Right?
He did.
They cut him like the next day, but he made the 53 initially.
Yeah.
So this is a group that I think the Chargers feel really good about, and I think we'll see kind of how they progress. It's unfortunate that the second, or I guess the third team offensive line is not that great. But they got Tucker Fisk out there and Scott Matlock and those guys who will block well. So I bet Jim Harbaugh is going to run the football a lot more going forward in the preseason.
Oh yeah. So I don't know who has separated themselves just yet, but I'm glad to see at least it's a very strong running back competition right now. Yeah.
And we'll see what Rocket Sanders can bring to this table going forward. So we've had a lot of positives, and we'll get to some questions after this. Unfortunately, I was anxious to see kind of what the defensive line would do in today's game.
Yeah. And
like Naquan Jones had some pop. Like that was cool to see. I thought Caleb Murphy had some good reps, but man, was that a very disappointing initial performance from Kyle Kennard, Tremont Morris-Brash, Deshaun Hand, Otito Ogbonia like barely played, I guess. So that's, hard to fault them. But
sure.
This young defensive line that I was excited to watch tonight really didn't do that much. And so when you're trying to picture where are the weak points of the roster, where do the Chargers need to potentially add, I'm getting a little nervous about that fourth edge rusher spot. And Caleb Murphy had a special teams tackle. He was a part of the forced fumble to open the game. He had another sack later on, and that's cool that he can be a special teams player. But I'm getting a little nervous, a little antsy about that fourth edge rusher spot, especially if it means that Thule is going to have to play special teams again, which I just don't love. So Kyle Kennard in particular, he's got to bounce back strong over the next 3 games for me to kind of feel a little bit more comfortable at this point.
Yeah, that the whole defensive line for the most part left a lot to be desired. I really wanted to see Caldwell and Aboigbe, and these players I think we might see more of once we do film rewatch and see like, oh, okay, like on these plays, this and that. Sometimes when you're just watching live, is it a pressure? Is it an early great like penetration for a run stop, whatever? And that just really wasn't happening. But yeah, edge rusher in particular. So just early stats right now, and I think a couple of these were via like scramble pressure, like hold the ball for a bit pressures. But right now, early stats are that Morris-Brash has 3 pressures, Murphy 2, Caldwell, Guidry, Reed, Edwards, Colson, Emily Johnson 1. So Kyle Kennard got blanked. And that's not great. Like in terms of specifically the pressures, we felt, okay, like Khalil Mack can play the run, Tuli can play the run. Bud Dupree, not the best pass rusher right now, but we feel like, okay, like he can play the run. So you bring in a Kyle Kennard and you go, okay, this guy, that's your speed rusher, that's your bendy guy. He can get after the passer. That's a really nice like second rotation. You have your two starters, they complement each other well. Next rotation comes up. Kennard, yes, day 3 pick. Yes, he's a rookie, but you feel like there could be a compliment there. And I just, if you told me he didn't play today, I would have gone, okay, yeah, he didn't play today. What was the injury? Like, what did he not make? Did he miss the flight? What happened? And I just barely saw him out there at all. And it was not the performance I was hoping for. You and I were very much so looking forward to seeing what these defensive linemen can do. And again, maybe when we film rewatch, we feel better. But for right now, Kyle Kennard has been a ghost in camp and has now been ghosted in this first preseason game. Not a good start.
No, not a good start. So Tremont Morris-Brash, 30 snaps total for him, 26 for Caleb Murphy, and 23 for Kyle Kennard. Kylan Guidry had 28, so he played basically like the entire second half. You know, I forget who it was, but let me see if I can find the comment. Aaron Smith says that he thinks Brash had the play of the game where he took the running back out and sacked the quarterback on the flat. That was a very good moment, and there was like one other instance where he set the edge and then allowed Colson to come over and get a tackle for loss. Like that was nice. There were a couple of nice moments to him for sure, but not that I was expecting Morris Brash to come in and like dominate this game, dominate in the preseason and push Kennard out of a role. But he was a guy who really flashed last season in training camp and in the preseason games. So I was expecting him to show out well in this kind of moment, especially if he was going to play, you know, extended snaps. And then Kyle Kennard, again, not expecting him to be a starter, but definitely expected him to, you know, come in against the backup Lions offensive tackles and be able to get 2 or 3 pressures, maybe a quarterback hit, you know, ideally get a sack, something like that. Just start building some positive momentum. As DJ points out in the chat, he drew a hold on like the second or third play of the game, and that was like about it. So again, I don't want to rush to react. That's kind of the theme of the night, obviously. But I'm getting a little antsy about that 4th spot. And like you mentioned, you know, it's not like the Chargers have this, you know, elite like overall edge rush room. Like I think we feel good about where Khalil is at. We feel good about where Tuli's at. Dupree, like you mentioned, very specialist role at this point in time. They need a 4th DPR type. And right now, I don't know if they have that guy on the roster, man. And I don't know where they can get that, especially from like a special team standpoint this late in the season. So just need Kyle Kennard or Tremont Morris-Brash at this point to kind of figure it out and make some plays over the next 3 games.
Yeah, the secret sauce of this defense is truly Jesse Minter. It is the components that work together and the sum of all the parts together that made it a great defense last year. So individuals in a game where Minter's clearly not flexing what he can do, and same goes for the offense, but it's, I guess, fine. And I think that maybe things can get sorted out when things are in Minter's full control and he lets everything loose. But you want to see him beat the backups of the Lions. And the Lions are a good trench team. Like the Lions are a good trench team. This was probably going to be a bit of a struggle. But I wanted more than nothing. You know, my expectation was anything more than nothing. And unfortunately it was nothing. And so I would be worried. If I were Joe Ortiz, I would go, I think we gotta like make some calls. Maybe figure out one more veteran to come in. Again, I don't really know who that is, but at this point, like if Kyle Kennard's value to this team is maybe not even playing special teams because that's Murphy, and then no real value on defense right now, I hope they find somebody else. I mean, they did last year. I think AJ Finley had a pretty good camp, certainly better than Kennard has. And they went, and still Joe Ortiz was like, I think we got to get one more guy in this room. Let's go get Molden. You know, I think the interior defensive line, you felt pretty good about them overall. Let's go get a Tart, like just to make sure we're okay there. And with Kennard having arguably a worse offseason or training camp than anybody from last year at the positions where they upgraded, I think they got to go find somebody else if Kennard doesn't show out more than he has. I have not been in all the camps. I have not heard or like seen anything. I've not seen anything myself, but no one's writing about Kyle Kennard outside of a couple of flashes. And so I hope these guys can figure it out. But at least I know if they don't, at least, or if they can't this year, that Joe Ortiz will go find somebody who can.
Yeah. And that's a very like Ravens-esque thing to do, is to like let your young guys get some reps and then we'll figure it out and maybe go find somebody or something like that. They did that last year, like you mentioned, with the safeties. They did it with Tier Tart. So we'll see what happens there. Only 2 drives for Mr. Zion Johnson, so it wasn't a ton of snaps there. Unfortunately, the snap issues did continue into tonight's game. There was a high snap when Trey Lance was in shotgun, and then they fumbled the snap issue, at the goal line when Trey Lance was under center. So I don't know, man. Like, we've kind of talked about this. We just think we're headed towards the Bradley Bozeman center thing. I don't know how he blocked. It's so difficult to see on the broadcast, and like you mentioned, like no replays. So I'm curious to see what the film watched, but I kind of know what Zion is, and I just the center snap exchanges are just kind of frustrating. Like, Brooke is paying less attention this year to the Chargers than previously, and she texted me and she was like, "Why the heck is Zion playing center right now? Like, what's going on?" And she's like, "So this is not going well," and I was like, "Yeah, it's not going great."
There's 2 ways of thinking of this, right? One, I feel bad because this is a position he's never played before. I've maintained that this just really just feels like an oversight, and oh shoot, let's see if this works. It doesn't really feel like a plan. Well, it's a plan. It just doesn't feel like plan A, B, or C. So I kind of feel bad, right? He's trying to figure this out on the fly. He's had 2 training camp practices in pads, and then it's like, here you go play a game, go start a game, play 2 drives at center. So I feel bad. On the other hand, it's a repeated issue now at this point, and you have to make a decision. And I think that maybe by the end of this week, you maybe get 1 more preseason game in, but they have to make a decision and set this line and go. Whatever it is, they have to make that decision. And it's unfortunate that Zion has not shown anything at this point that suggests we feel comfortable. The basics are there. There'll be some learning on the fly during the year, of course, like if he's new to the position, but the basic fundamentals are there. And they're just not right now. They're having troubles with snaps. It's not just him and Lance. We've covered it before. It's him and Herbert as well. High snap, low snap, fumbling snaps, you name it. I didn't get to see exactly what happened on that exchange, but if it's happening multiple times with multiple quarterbacks, I'm sure Zion, there's a common denominator there that is Zion. So I think we're just headed for what we all know and expected, unfortunately, and that's that Bradley Bozeman is going to be their center. Zion plays left guard. And ultimately, at this point, that just feels like the best decision. If it's, Zion just takes one last shot at being a decent left guard in the NFL, maybe works things in pass pro, fine. If that's how it goes, so be it. I'd rather that happen than, okay, we're still having snap issues and no one's even throwing anything crazy at you yet on defense.
No.
And week 1, you get to play the Chiefs. It's not going to work no matter what. It's Bozeman, Zion at center. It's going to stink no matter what. But I feel they just need to set their starter as Bozeman and just call it a year and hope for the best. Unfortunately. Yeah,
I agree there. So again, mostly very positive tonight. Again, we covered a lot of positive things to start. If you're a little frustrated by us talking about, 3 or 4 players having a tough night, then go back and watch the start of it. Anybody else for you, Tyler, that you were a little disappointed in, or we can kind of get back to positives if you want, but anything else you want to touch on before we get to some of these questions?
We've covered the defensive line was kind of the whole thing. I do want to focus on Junior Colson when I do my rewatch, because I think there were some very good moments. It was there was tackles that were there. I think he had 3 or 4 solo tackles, and those looked good. But he did play a ton of snaps. I believe he played some of the most snaps of any defender of the night. And I just got to see how that went.
Yes, 41 snaps was the most. RJ Mickens was second with 40.
Yeah. So did I think he really stood out in this game? No. He was a player. So I said Keandre Lambert-Smith needed to have a great camp. You've mentioned Junior Colson. Did he really stand out to me? Not necessarily. Was he bad? I don't really know. But I want to have that definitive Dayon Henley, game where he had a forced fumble or interception or whatever it was. I just want to see that, especially when he's playing that much.
Yeah, I agree there. So again, very positive night for the Chargers. Great to see a lot of the things happening. We got primetime Ryan Ficken, 2 special teams turnovers was great to see. Unfortunately, we did get a Cam Dicker missed field goal, but all in all, very positive. A lot of standouts for the Chargers tonight. Just fun to see football back on our screens here. So we'll wrap up with some super chats here. We'll get to some questions and things like that, and we'll see how it goes from there. Josh Albertson says, first time catching it live. Keep up the great work. I appreciate the bit from Josh. Every time he sends in a super chat, it's either like sending us a lot of money for his college kids or like it's his first time catching it live. So I appreciate the bit here from Josh.
Yeah. Hopefully you didn't bet the Prize Picks money on, or your kid's college fund on Prize Picks today.
Yeah. Landon Sumner said, if Nikko Reed made that sack, I was about to start banging the CB1 drums. This game has me unreasonably hyped for the season. BTFU. I think that was Kendall Williamson that missed the sack. I'm not super positive who it was. Because 40 and 46 is really driving me crazy. But both players, actually, I thought Kendall Williamson was another one who had some really positive moments. He was the one who forced the fumble on the opening kickoff. So, but yes, I think that was Kendall Williamson who missed the sack, not Nikko Reed.
Yeah, again, the 40 numbers are throwing me off like crazy. I finally got the 30s and the running backs down. But yeah, the 40s were definitely throwing me off. In terms of early stats, Reed has the pressure. And that would have, I think the missed tackle would have been considered a pressure. So I don't know. But people in the chat are also saying it was what?
It's a little mixed. Some are saying it was Reed, others are saying it was Williamson. So I don't know. Does one of them have listed as a 46 as a missed tackle?
I don't know. We'll let you know next time we see you about that.
But either way, whoever it was, it would have been a nice play had they been able to make that happen.
Yeah.
But all in all, very positive for both players, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Fabio says, if Lance keeps this up throughout the preseason, do we trade Heineke for a late round pick?
I just don't think so. If they're keeping 3 quarterbacks as they did, like I think you just have these 3. You might get a great offer, but I think you keep letting Trey Lance like stay on. Like if Herbert goes down week 1, you're probably throwing Heineke in. I hope it doesn't happen, but I don't know if they're ready officially to throw Trey Lance in there on short notice to sustain anything against like the Denver defense. So like if you have to go play Denver in week 3, who are you putting in that game? I think probably go with Heineke, but I think you just keep 3. You let the season play out, and if Lance has to go in a game, great or not great, sucks, but yay. If it's Heineke, great. But I think you keep all 3.
If Herbert is not playing against the Broncos, you are running the football 50 times. You are not throwing either of those 2 quarterbacks against that Denver defense. That would not be great.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Chargers would take calls on either one. Honestly, I just think Joe Ortiz is that kind of guy, and they don't. We've said this a couple of times. They only have 6 picks next year. Like they do need picks next year.
Mm-hmm.
Whether that's through a trade down on draft night, etc. We'll see. But if somebody called them, like, I don't know, man. I didn't love what the Lions quarterbacks looked like tonight. If I were them, I would be calling about Taylor Heineke. So if a team is going to call you and say, basically we'll just do the reverse trade of what the Chargers did for Taylor, where they got a 6th round pick for him, right? Or they sent a 6th round pick for him, I should say.
Was it a 6th? Oh, okay.
Or was it like a send a 6 and get a 7th back situation?
Maybe.
Either way, it wouldn't surprise me if somebody did want to trade for Taylor Heineke, but I think they will keep 3 to start, and then maybe midseason at that point they would trade Heineke or something like that.
Yeah.
But I appreciate Fabio for a big super chat there.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Very kind. Putts and Bolts says the new powder blue pants did not disappoint. We did not talk about this yet. I think they looked amazing.
Mm-hmm.
He says that he would have liked them even more if they weren't playing another team wearing the same colors. Also, am I the only one that likes the yellow pants though?
Yeah, the uniforms looked amazing. They decided to go with powder blue pants, and I think that's just an incredible idea. For all the talk of the Navy stuff and the yellow jersey and whatever, I thought bringing the powder blue kits that they have, and with the pants in particular, were just outstanding. Yeah. Loved that. Are you the only one who likes the yellow pants? No. Do I love them? No.
There are a lot of people who like the white and yellow combination. I am not one of those people. I do like the yellow pants with the powder blue top, though. I think that works, and it's a little bit more balanced. But This combination is fantastic, and I'm definitely excited to see it used against a team with like a darker palette. Like if they play in Vegas with this uniform, that's going to look like fantastic. NFL teams don't coordinate jerseys, which is unfortunate, but like he says, it would have been great if the Lions had been in like their gray uniforms tonight or something like that. So it was a good start, though. I'm glad that we got the first game with the powder blue pants.
Yes, and a win.
Obviously, the most important part.
Of course.
Tara in here with a big super chat says, welcome back, Chargers football. Appreciate you too, as always. The RB room looks awesome. Nikko Reed and KLS bolt up. Appreciate Tara for jumping in here and sending in a big super chat. We talked about the running back room, Nikko Reed, KLS. I feel like we're all on the same page, but we appreciate you for jumping in here as always.
Yes, they all did look awesome. It was nice to see some good stuff on offense. But yeah, thank you for that very, 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 very kind super chat and the support as always.
Thomas Martinez says, okay, I was really keeping my expectations low on KLS. I'm in now. And I feel like I am the same way.
I agree.
But I do want to see more for sure going forward.
Yeah. Show me. And I think we'll see it. I think we'll see a little bit more Keandre Lambert-Smith with Herbert in camp.
Yeah. It just, especially if Jalen Reagor continues to be injured, I think we'll see KLS get in there more. Jesse Aguilar says, definitely impressed with the depth opposed to last season. Great showing, in my opinion. I think we're also on the same page there.
Yeah, very, very competitive. I mean, how many interceptions were there? How many different turnovers were there? So fumble in the first quarter, interception, I think, in the end of the first quarter. Another turnover on downs, interception to end the game. All 4 quarters, lots of depth competing, getting turnovers.
Yeah, I think in these games, like not to say that the Chargers are going to be like a more well-coached team than the Lions, because the Lions are generally like more well-coached, like very well-coached too. But the fact that like the Chargers special teams unit looked like really sharp outside of the missed field goal, I think shows what they have in Ryan Ficken and things like that. But
yeah,
you had guys who we didn't expect to make a huge impact in the season show out very well today. So like Jesse says, the depth is much improved this year.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Dre says only 3 to 4 carries, but Hampton looks legit.
Am I the only one who just thinks it was like fine? There was like one good first down run, the 8-yard scamper, and then one where I really thought he could have just cut up field. And I was like, he's scoring. There we go. Here's a 1, 2, 3, boom.
Yeah.
And it just was like, no, he got chopped
up. Yeah, he flattened the run that he should have taken north.
Yeah, which I thought he would have scored. So
that first run was super fun though. Like he ran somebody over. It was great, very decisive. I'm not concerned. I watched him at practice. I've seen the highlights of other practices. Like I am not concerned about Marion Hampton at all.
Yeah, no, not at all.
Daniel says positive game. Trey Lance QB2 in my opinion. Will Greg Roman's passing playbook inside the 10 have anything else other than goal line fades? I feel like it was the same way last year, where it was like, we just don't really want to show anything. Let's just throw a fade to Jalen Johnson and Simi Fehoko and all these guys. But thankfully, it's not that bad, I guess, in the regular season.
Unless you have forwards from your tight ends and fullback. But no, I mean, they at least had the my watch is beeping. It's 8:54. I don't know why it beeps out every time it's 8:54. Shut up.
Nice.
Anyway, thank you. It's still beeping, but it's further away. They did have that rollout to Disley. That throw was beautiful.
It was nice.
That was nice. Fantastic. The runs to Vidal. So the playbook is not going to be much this game, but I think it was fine.
Yeah, every team does just like basic concepts in the red zone. I think even Mike Tirico was like, yeah, we're probably not going to see much here, but it would be nice to see Trey Lance get a chance. But yeah, is what it is.
Yeah.
Noah here says game was super fun. Got a Jack Harbaugh signature. That was fun.
Oh, cool.
He was super nice. Also a picture with Chris Sims. Now a 5-hour drive back to Indiana. Yeah, well, that's cool. You got a picture. Chris Sims also said that he doesn't think Justin Herbert is an elite quarterback because he doesn't have aura. That's how they spent like 5 minutes pregame talking about Justin Herbert.
The guy looks like a dehydrated turtle saying that Justin Herbert doesn't have aura. Like, all right. Sure. I guess. I think 99% of women think he has aura. So for what it's worth, I think he's just fine. More aura than I'll ever have, that's for sure. But no, I'm glad you got to watch an awesome game. And I believe you went with your brother too. So hopefully you guys had fun.
Yeah, I'm glad that was this year and not last year's quarterback situation.
No.
Granted, it's only a 5-hour drive, but like I know a lot of people who flew to that game, and like good for you. That was a very fun game to watch. But imagine like flying to that game and it's the Easton Stick and Luis Perez show from last year. Like that would just be not fun at all.
No, not one bit. We would have seen a lot more of Hampton, but unfortunately, some terrible quarterback play.
Yeah. Richard says he's all in on Clowney if we can fit him. I'm surprised he hasn't signed yet, to be honest.
Yeah. So he was let go by the Panthers, right?
Yes, which I still don't understand. Thomas Martinez also pointed out that they released Amari Barno today or earlier this week, I guess. So
yeah. I mean, obviously there's a previous connection there with Joe Ortiz and the Ravens. So sure. I mean, at that point, he's not like the greatest pass rusher right now, but I'll take anything. He's not playing special teams though. That's the other issue.
Yeah. If you're gonna sign Clowney, I feel like you probably have to release Bud Dupree, which I know some people wouldn't like hate that. They're very similar players. Like Clowney is much more of a run defender nowadays than he is a pass rusher, and he's always been that way. I don't know. I feel like if they are going to go the veteran route, like I'm probably looking more towards Zadarius Smith, just because I'm like he's more of a DPR at this point in time. I don't know. I don't even know who else is available right now.
Yeah, I was just looking at it right now. So names that come up, all types. I want unsigned free agents. All right. Not me either. Spud Track, you suck. What am I even doing here?
Yeah, what are you doing there?
All right, your turn. You look up stuff. I try.
Drake Jackson was released from the 49ers. That could be interesting. Tyus Bowser still a free agent. Obviously familiar with him. Jesse Luketa was just released from the Cardinals. Not a ton of names on the list. Am I frozen or is Tyler frozen? Okay, Tyler's frozen. So you guys can hear me. You can hear. Okay, Tyler's gone. There we go. All right. Okay, that is too funny. Yeah, preseason for us too, you guys. Preseason for us too. All right, I'll continue here. Mr. Boltbeak says, wouldn't it be worth it to try and shop Zion around for some other options? I think trading somebody like Zion is a little risky just because you are losing bodies at that point in time. So just kind of playing things out a little bit. If you trade Zion, that means you're definitely starting Jamari Sawyer. And then if like another injury happens, then you're starting Branson Taylor or signing like somebody off the street. So if you're doing like a player swap and you can get another guard center in return, fine, I guess. But like worst case scenario, if Zion is your backup left guard who can play center in a pinch kind of deal, like that's generally fine. I can't believe Tyler is just out of here. That's so funny. Okay, looks like we got back. Looks like we got him back. There he is.
Jeez. What happened there? Football in July almost crashed my internet.
Preseason for us too. Josh is back with another one that says USC costs $98,000 a year. How else am I supposed to pay for that? Thank you, Prize Picks. USC's that expensive?
I don't know. UCI wasn't exactly cheap. I don't think it was definitely not $98,000. I'll tell you that.
No, like I would have, if you had asked me, I would have guessed like 70, 80. Like I knew it was expensive, but 98 a year is that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, brutal.
Good thing he has Price Picks though to keep him company.
Exactly.
Javaro, that super sticker, and then sends another one. Did you talk about Caleb Murphy? He made plays. We did mention Caleb Murphy. Daniel Popper has routinely pointed him out as somebody who is playing first team punt snaps as well as first team kickoff and kickoff return snaps. We saw him do that tonight. So yeah, he's had like a good special teams camp so far, and he had a pretty good game tonight. So we'll see what happens there.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I don't know how they're going to roll with that. It feels like the same as last year for edge rushers, but I'll take anybody who can play edge rusher at this point.
Kevin says, I'm still sitting here waiting for the number 42 Tucker Fisk section of the chat. Listen, that was a heck of a seam catch from him, and great throw from Trey Lance as well. Tucker, like, he offers you nothing after the catch, but he low-key like has some really good hands. Like, he's had some really nice contested catch moments. So definitely shout out to Tucker Fisk, who is a fantastic blocker. He's a bowling ball blocker. So yeah, big shout out to Tucker Fisk.
Yeah, last time we saw him play, great catch in the playoffs. This time, hey, picked up right where he left off. Good catch in the preseason. So, if you're blocking tight end, can get you one catch a game, great. Or you can be Will Dissly and get 500
yards.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lod says his catch against the Texans was sick. It was easily the best catch of the non-Lad receivers, that's for sure.
It's because it was like the only catch receiver. The contenders were like one other like screen pass. So
I didn't want to say that, but yeah.
Oh man.
Okay, interesting. Julio says that where's the comment? Apparently there was a YouTube vlog that Will Hernandez came out and said the Chargers are interested in signing him.
But like at this point, why? I get why, sort of, but like why would they suddenly be interested in signing him?
I don't know. I'm gonna watch the video afterwards, but
or they're trading Zion Johnson to the Saints. Like otherwise, I don't know. Is there a timestamp for that one? Oops, sorry. Oh, it is. That is the right one.
Is that real? Because that's not real. That's not real.
Oh.
Do not YouTube Chicos Toxicos.
Wait, what did you look up?
That's not real.
I'm going to use my phone for this one. What did you look up?
Bro.
Everybody stop. I don't know. I just see wholesome things. There's just something bad. You know what? Never mind. I'm not taking any more airspace for this. Oh, goodness gracious. You can get off the website now, Steven. I don't even know what it is.
No, I was on YouTube. Okay, relax.
Okay. Oh man. Well, I'll go with the next super chat. Where's that it? Here we go from Nicholas. Shout out to my girlfriend Jess, who is watching. I love you. Are you watching like separate from each other? And you're saying, but do you want us to give Jess a shout out from you? Nicholas says he loves you. Or are you saying that he loves us? In which case, we love you too.
Yeah, we do love Nicholas. He's in here often as well. But,
he is.
Yeah, shout out to his girlfriend Jess.
Yes.
Was that our last one?
No, I'm sorry. You want me to keep doing this? Okay.
Igni N7 says, after last year, all I want is a wide receiver other than McConkey to catch a football in hands.
Yes, it is sad that we are at that bar right now, but thankfully it seems like the Chargers have the right pieces in place.
Yeah. Trending very positively, that's for sure.
Yes.
Okay, so Ricardo says that the video is legit. He's seen the video a couple weeks ago. So I just YouTubed the wrong thing then.
Okay. Cool. You can look that up yourself.
Yep.
Report back. We'll do a video breakdown.
The thing that I saw was was like Jersey Shore vibes. I don't know if it's the same or not, but yeah. Andrew says, shout out to my fiance Selena, who's completely ignoring this podcast while I watch it on my TV. Shout out to Selena.
Hello, Selena. How are you? I'm sorry that we take your fiance's time, Andrew, but hoping all goes well. You said yes, so seems like a nice guy. Of course, he's watching us, so he has to be a great guy. Hopefully, the wedding goes smoothly.
Great taste. Great taste.
Yeah.
If anybody else wants a shout out for their significant other, let us know in the chat right now.
Yeah, bring it. Why not? Aaron's wife's asleep while he's watching this. Totally fine.
Yeah.
Won't wake him up. Can you imagine this? The shock of having Tyler and Steven talk to you while you're just going about your business in the house.
LOD, that is mean.
That is mean. Let's say it. LOD says, shout out to my girlfriend. She was dating Manti Te'o, but I think we still haven't met. Yeah, you and I both catfish. I caught catfish this weekend, fried it up, and you're getting catfish potentially. So, but you know what? Hope springs eternal.
Yeah, there you go.
What?
This is a wild thing to say.
Trina, what's up? What's up, Trina? How you doing?
And then Ben S, his daughter, just catching strays.
Shout out, love for hot wings and beer. There you go. Ex-wife chargered too much, but shout out your ex-wife, Blaine. Shout out to Risa. Anybody else?
I'm crying. Thomas Martinez said Manti's freaking top 10 linebacker. This was less real than his girlfriend.
What, Bobby Wagner?
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Oh man,
I respect the shit posting for having Denzel Perryman on his top 10 list.
I know that was pretty impressive. I get it. He's probably friends, or at least they played together. But yeah, respectfully, no. Oh goodness gracious! Shout out Jane Dudley. She loves your podcast. Thank you, Jane. And Morgan. And Noel. Shout out to everybody whose significant others were taking the time up. We're slowly losing viewers. Shout out to my wife, TTV. Was that initials? I said it slowly in case I was saying something inappropriate, but nope.
Yeah, good call. Good call.
Shout out me for Waterboy. Thank you. I will bring water. High quality H2O. Have you seen Waterboy?
Yes, I don't get it.
Oh, that's what he says. Like it's high quality H2O or whatever.
Oh, okay.
Anyway.
Yeah, we had Brent Musburger on the broadcast tonight. That was kind of cool.
Mm-hmm. That was cool. How do we end the show now?
Shout out to Ben Herbert.
Shout out Ben Herbert. It's been the Guilty as Charged podcast so long.
Well, man, we had a great turnout tonight. At one point, I think we were over 900 viewers live. So appreciate the heck out of you guys. Thanks for the last tonight. It was great. We will be back next week at some point when the Chargers are back in practice. So they'll have another preseason game next week where training camp is almost over. I think next week is their last week of camp officially, if I'm not mistaken. So Charger summer going by fast as they always do. But appreciate the heck out of you guys. Thanks so much for tuning in. This has been another episode of the Guilty as Charged podcast. As always, bolt up.